Yeah, welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. So we're here at the Let's Play Gaming Expo and having fun here so far. What do you think? Having fun?
It's fun. Good turnout, lots of people, a lot of booths, lots of energy. Really.
Yeah, lots of energy, lots of really fun people here. They have the biggest arcade set up over there. Have you been over there?
I have not been over there yet.
They've got old school arcade games. I mean, they have the X-Men arcade game.
The full player.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, a bunch of really cool stuff. There's some pachinko machines, if that's your thing.
Do they have the Metal Gear Solid pachinko?
I didn't see that.
I'm interested in it. I'll be out.
So yeah, we're just kind of hanging out here. E3 was this week. Had some really cool news, some kind of mediocre news.
Yeah.
I'd say overall it was pretty good.
I'd say overall the
E3 was this week.
Sony, Microsoft, totally nailed it.
Yes, I think so. In very different ways.
Yeah, completely different ways. Like completely different approaches.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Microsoft actually.
You do?
Yeah.
Why's that?
So I feel like Microsoft had a really solid press conference. A very traditional press conference, but very solid.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a lot of excitement at the end of it. But I feel like then Sony is kind of like with a very different approach.
Yeah.
And there's kind of, that's all people are talking about now is the Sony press conference.
I think so.
The EA one was lackluster, to put it, I think, nicely. They have problems though. They have a lot to try to cover.
They had a lot of time to cover and a lot of things to cover, and they decided to go with some kind of. I think the problem with them was they were trying to jump the gun.
Yeah.
They're trying to get there before everybody else. So they start up early. They start up Sunday before Bethesda. Bethesda last year decided to start early.
Yeah.
This time EA decided to do it even before then. I'm not a soccer fan, but I did like the Journey. I don't know if you saw the FIFA stuff. Oh, it was really cool. Probably one of the best things that they did out of all of the stuff that they did. If I can find, I swear I had it. So the FIFA, the Journey was, it's their football, soccer, basically their, as I try to find this. So the FIFA, the Journey was, it's the FIFA's 2017's story mode.
Okay.
And you play a specific player who gets hired into the Premier League.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, so you follow his story, you follow what he's doing as he starts playing soccer for one of the Premier Leagues, being actually playing part of the big boys. Yeah. It's not bad.
No, yeah.
So I thought I thought it was really cool because it kind of solidifies you as a player. It kind of gives more gravity to everything that you're doing.
You have a vested interest.
You do, as opposed to just winning to win the game.
Yeah.
You're actually winning a game, and it matters to this guy who.
And I understand that soccer or football is not huge in the U.S., so that I think that was more aimed at the people in the England press conference. I understand that, and I appreciate the fact that they were trying to appeal to multiple audiences.
Yeah.
I think they backed themselves to the corner that last year they showed lots of stuff that hasn't been out yet.
Yeah.
And they'll try not to. I think as a result, they didn't have tons of actual stuff to show, but they had already brought lots of stuff up, so they felt like almost obligated to show stuff for it.
Yeah, I think so. They had tons of sports. I mean, Madden 2017, which, I'm sorry, it looks Madden 2016 with a little bit better graphics. So, I mean, I'm sure...
But that's the moneymaker.
It is their moneymaker.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't switched to a subscription match by this point. I think there'd be enough people that would go do subscription.
Do like a monthly fee?
I have a feeling like they would get just as enough, if not more money, and they can do incentives. I don't know if you've seen, they have these card games and different things you do. They're integrating fantasy football into it as well. I think if they had a monthly subscription and you could basically pay for all of these different things to be part of the game,
and maybe build out the community features a little bit more around it as well. You could do. I think they could do that.
Yeah, I think it'd do really well. I mean, there's a lot that could be done.
Yeah.
But it kind of depends on what they want for their business model and everything. But one of the things that I said, there's a lot of things that I really liked. There's a lot of things but it kind of depends on what. I had some stuff. So did you saw the Titanfall?
Yeah. So. I did not play the initial Titanfall because I usually don't play games online, as you know.
Yeah.
This one intrigues me.
Sure.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it really does.
The fact that I would like to know a little bit more about how in depth the single player storyline is. I'm going to presume it's going to be decent because this is made by the guys who did Modern Warfare 1-2.
Exactly.
And they had a very decent, good storyline for campaign 1.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they bring that over and apply it here.
Yeah.
And if so, I'll pick it up. I have no problem picking up like a Call of Duty game or something like that, as long as it's a good, solid campaign.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the story matters to me. I like multiplayer, but games are a great platform for storytelling.
Yep.
And I think that they missed the mark in being able to do that. One thing that they talked about was like your connection between you and your Titan. So it's you and your, kind of your robot. And that's how they talked about when the game was first coming out, this bond between you and the machine.
It reminds me of Halo a little bit, actually, between the bond of Master Chief and Cortana.
Yes. And I think that they can expand a lot on that if they do it the right way.
Yeah, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they probably will.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah. I think that I think there's a lot that they can explore with that. There's a lot that they can explore within the world, and they really haven't done that yet. But they didn't get the chance to. I don't know if. Now, one thing that they talked about when the first one came out was they were like, okay, well, it costs so much to do a single-player game. The production time, the production value.
Yeah.
They were saying that 2/3 of games production goes into single player, then a third goes into multiplayer. I mentioned the show, before on the show about this, but basically what they did is they said we don't want to spend as much money.
Yep.
So we're going to give you multiplayer only, but we're going to charge you full
the same
price.
amount.
Yeah. Which that was the biggest irritants for me. They could have charged if they charged like $20.
No, yeah, and that's what they should have. They should have done something like that. If you're going to go for a straight, like a subscription base, maybe would have been as well just as appropriate. I feel like. I feel like they were hoping that they would be. But I feel like what happened was they saw that, especially in the last generation, Call of Duty, Battlefield, all that was very big on the multiplayer component.
I agree.
And I think they were hedging their bets that this generation, that multiplayer would be to go solo without anything else. I think they just lost the bet on that.
I completely agree. Yeah.
And I think they're not the only ones, though. Battlefield, Star Wars Battlefront. I feel like almost
the same thing.
Yep. Almost feel like Destiny, to a certain extent, was trying to go a similar path. They backed off a little bit. They still had stuff, but I feel like lots. They're trying to read the tea leaves and they're just messing around.
Exactly. And we are going into this generation of for gaming, multiplayer and streaming, like we're doing here. Anyone can do it. Yep. Anyone can jump in and stream their game. Anyone can play online. It's so much easier than it's ever been to do something like that. And I think that everyone was trying to gauge how much people were going to go into it.
Yeah.
And Destiny did a better balance on this. I still don't think that the story was great. They held back a lot of that, but at least there was a story and there was drop in, drop out, multiplayer. So
it wasn't reliant on it.
Yeah, and I do find it funny though that Borderlands is still probably one of the best single-player to multiplayer first-person shooter story games
that can blend the two.
Yeah. I mean, perfect. Drop in, drop out while you're playing. Just come in, as opposed to Destiny, where you gotta sync up with people and everything. So you can drop into someone else's game, playing Borderlands, and it's still, Borderlands 2. I think more people are playing that than Borderlands 1, but Destiny, I think, is close. They're trying to be, it's kind of shooting for the moon. And what are you okay with, sacrificing?
And it's always tough for the first version of a new IP to nail it.
It is.
I feel like Destiny 2 is probably going to be, they're going to iron out lots of issues in Destiny 2. I think Destiny 2 is going to be far above Destiny 1.
Free, man. Take it. Have some candy.
$50.
Yeah, go for it. We got cards over there too. We're doing a live Twitch show right now, and we do live YouTube channels shows as well. It's cool stuff. Yes, so come on and say hey to us. We've got a lot of people coming up, so we apologize if we kind of stop for a second to talk to people. A lot of people here. We're a couple hours into the Let's Play Gaming Expo over in Plano. Streaming live here. We're going to be streaming gameplay. If you want to come play video games with us, we're going to stream Rocket League later.
You got Dark Souls coming up.
Dark Souls coming up at 2 o'clock. We're going to stream from the beginning, and we're going to talk to you about what it's like to play Dark Souls from the beginning. Dark Souls 3, that is. And Christian's actually going to come over here and play that. He is not only great at the story, but the mechanics.
Yeah.
Dark Souls doesn't tell you a lot of how mechanics work. It kind of just, it throws you in and you got to read, you got to figure things out for yourself. So
he's really wrapped his head around it and really dug into the game, and he knows both inside and out.
Exactly.
Which is yeah, not many people do that.
Not many people. That's why there's a few people on YouTube that do it. We're doing Dark Souls lore tomorrow as well. But yeah, we're going to be here talking about the rest of E3 as well. Another thing that I really liked on E3 was the Andromeda trailer that finally came out.
Yes.
Mass Effect's one that I've been waiting for. It's one of my favorite games, and be able to bring this back to us without Master Chief is going to be a big hurdle for them. I'm wondering if we'll be able to kind of pull this off.
I feel like they will. It's going to be a little odd without Shepard, but I feel like it was the right choice as well. But I feel like they definitely did a nice job of Shepard's storyline and internet. Yeah. The only thing other thing they could have done is a prequel, but I don't think it would be, I personally don't want a prequel. I'm happy with the way it was.
Yeah.
The thing I'm curious with is each of the Mass Effect games have slightly different RPG levels. If they're going to be more mimicking off of 3, or they're going to be taking stuff from some of the more recent games, like Dragon Age Inquisition the newest one was very different than Dragon Age is.
Very different.
So I'm presuming they're going to continue to evolve that formula. I'm curious to see what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Like Mass Effect is one of my favorite series.
Oh, mine too. I got to see the Mako there for a second. Yeah. That really made me excited. I think the blend of RPG and action is an interesting one they've been toying with in the Mass Effect series.
Yeah.
One thing that I'd say, actually, my first Mass Effect game was actually Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
Mass Effect 1 has a better story.
Yeah.
The Mass Effect 2 had better gameplay elements.
I'd agree with that.
So I played Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 hooked me on the series, and then I started started watching playthroughs of Mass Effect 1, and then was going, okay, I missed too much. Went back and played Mass Effect 1, then I played Mass Effect 2 again. I don't know about you. Do you play Paragon, Renegade? What do you usually do?
I usually play Paragon. I've played Mass Effect 1 3 times.
Then I played Mass Effect 2 again.
And this whole time I was like, I'm not going to purposely go one or the other. I'm going to do what comes natural to me.
Sure.
Ended up being Paragon.
You ended up being Paragon, yeah. You're a nice guy.
Yeah. The next time I was like, I'm going to be Paragon, like extreme, like, you know. So I did that. And then my last time I was like, I'm going to do Renegade. I began Renegade, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
some of the Renegade options are completely dick moves.
Yeah, and now that's one thing that when I played through the first time, I did what you did. I was like, I'm just going to do what I do.
Yeah.
And then I realized when I was done, I didn't have enough Paragon points to save. This is Mass Effect 2, so slight spoilers. Jack and Miranda, you have to have like pretty much all in Paragon or all in Renegade, I believe, to save both of them. I know you have to do it. You can do it with all in Paragon, if I'm not mistaken. Guys, tell me comments if I'm wrong on that. But I didn't have enough to save them, so I lost Jack because my guy was.
And Jack was awesome.
Jack was really cool. I was mostly Paragon, but I didn't min-max as much, right?
Okay.
So then my next playthrough, I actually played it 3 times. So my next playthrough was Renegade, and I was like, I'm going to go all in Renegade. And I kind of saw, I knew the story, so I looked up a guide that was like, here's some make sure you do these things. Saved Jack, did not save Miranda on that playthrough, so I had to play it again. But that's one thing that I liked about the game was that there were so many things. Depending on how you did sorry if that's a little bit loud. Give me just a second. Depending on how you did your companion missions. Cool, it's not picking it up too much.
Awesome.
So depending on how you did your companion missions, you could save people, or certain people would be lost.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool. If you're kind of blasting through the game and you're not taking your time with everybody, so you kind of miss people.
So what I ended up doing was all the main kill, all of the people that you have storylines with, I saved them all. But all the rest of my crew, like the NPCs and the people, they all died. Because what happened was they all got taken. And I was like, well, this is the last mission, right? I was like, but I've got these little side quests I want to finish up. I'm going to do these side quests. And I took too long, and I got them, saved everyone except for my crew. So did that happen to you at all?
I saved almost everybody. What's the guy's name? Starts with an M. Morden. He's the alien biologist doctor.
Yeah. Morgan, Moran.
Something.
Yeah.
So I didn't save him the first time. He was the only person I lost. I got everybody else.
Yeah. So I saved all of them, but like just the random people on the ship, all died. And so at the end of the game, back on the ship, like I go talk to all of my normal people, but other than that, it's a ghost ship. It was so creepy.
That is weird, because the rest of the ship, they populated it with. You had your. I keep thinking of her as like a secretary. She's kind of like your steward or assistant. So she tells you if you got messages. I thought she was kind of like the Sigourney Weaver character in Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
She told me what the computer was already telling me.
That's a perfect girl.
Yeah, and you could romance her. I don't know. Did you romance anybody?
Because I was true to. I'm bad with names. The blue alien. Female.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So I romanced
the younger one, right? Not the matriarch.
Yeah, that's correct. I romanced on port 1, and I kept the relationship going all through all 3 games. I did not cheat on her in port 2 at all.
That's fantastic.
I did, however. And port 2, I did a split save to see what would happen if I romanced someone else.
Okay.
And you have a pixel full in the bedroom, and you actually push the pixel down before you do the. Yeah.
Oh. Didn't even hide it, but pushed it down. You couldn't look at it during it.
Yep.
But, I think Mass Effect was one of the ones that was really cool. Did you see Fee?
Which one?
Fee. It's the new game that's coming out with EA Play.
Oh, I missed this one.
So you're it's a forest kind of exploration game. One thing that I thought that really intrigued me about it was they said that there's no dialogue. There's not going to be, and I believe they said there are no dialogues, there's no text. Everything's going to be through sound effects, through emotions. You're going to be saving different things. You see, like here, you're kind of exploring this forest, exploring this kind of darkness. There's not a lot that I know about the game.
Yeah.
But I love the art style behind it. Really pretty stuff. Again, another new IP, so it's make or break when you think about something like this.
Yeah, I do appreciate that EA is, and Ubisoft does this too. I don't want to single one out over the other one, but they are willing to take chances on smaller new IPs that don't necessarily happen otherwise. They've got the money makers, Call of Duties and the sports games, and they're willing to go and take a chance on everything else.
Yeah, I'd agree.
They'll reinvest in smaller developments.
Yeah, which I think is fantastic when it comes to things. They're able to spend time, like you see here, the Star Wars stuff. They're able to spend time and money to make a good Star Wars game.
Yeah, and they're not rushing them out like used to happen. I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. They used to rush out ones. You not only have your sorry if that's loud.
Melee C2 Storm. Melee C2 Storm. Both of you have less than 5 minutes.
So they used to rush out a lot of Star Wars games, and then you'd rush out games to tie in with movies.
Yep.
Which could be mediocre to horrible.
And that's being generous, I feel like.
I think that one of my favorite movie tie-in Star Wars games was not the Pod Racers. Don't worry, it wasn't that. But the Star Wars Episode 1 for PC. I don't know if you played that.
I played the PS1 version of that, which I don't know if it's the same game or not, though.
You get to run around like it's Obi-Wan. You have like your force runs, third person, over the top.
Yep, it sounds the same.
Which was great to kind of dive into to what it was to be in Star Wars Episode 1, which and the thin bit of story that's in there.
Yeah, minus the politics. It was like being Episode 1 without politics.
Yeah, there's no they didn't talk about trade disputes. They didn't talk about trade embargoes and blockades. I mean, if they talked about it, it was really quick, and then you were into the action. You got to ride around like the battle tanks.
Yeah,
and I thought it was really fun, but it was basically everything that I liked in the Jedi Knight series.
Jedi Knight series was so much fun.
It really was. Jedi Knight 2, I was Outcast, like Jedi Academy. Those were some fantastic games, and it's funny to me that we're sitting here 15 years afterwards, and we're still talking about these games that came out 15 years ago. Yeah, those are still the better Star Wars games out of all of them.
They had I feel like Star Wars goes in waves. Mm-hmm. They have like a small group like these like the Jedi Knight games, and KOTOR came about around the same time, and then after that they kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
And they really dropped off in a long time.
Yeah, I think so. KOTOR 2 is probably one of my... KOTOR, the original.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite games of all time. KOTOR 2 didn't quite live up to it.
I did enjoy the one they had several years ago, when we played Star Killer.
Yeah, Star Killer was fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry. I played the wrong trailer. The Force Unleashed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was actually a fun realization of, I felt like it was akin to the... Jedi Outcast game. I feel like it's
similar to that. It gave you the option to be your character living in this Star Wars world, which some games they take you really on a straightforward like tunnel, and then some of them give you too many options like Star Wars Galaxies. But I think KOTOR was a really good balance of that because you get to run around the galaxy, you go to different planets in the Star Wars universe, you rescue people, similar to Mass Effect.
Yeah,
I think that's a lot of where BioWare pulled a lot of those ideas from was KOTOR. The idea of your companions going around there, helping them. KOTOR was more like you have to do it.
There's actually a game, I have to look up. There's actually a game that I feel like they drew the most inspiration from Mass Effect from. It was Xbox original game series.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a trilogy. They only got one done because the company who was doing it was not, it was the fourth major game.
Sure.
The story is written by Orson Scott.
Orson Scott Card?
Yep.
From the Ender's Game.
Yep. And the whole idea was that essentially you had as a third-person action, where you also had magic type abilities. You were a last of the human race type thing, but you make decisions through the game and you carry over to the follow-up games. It was very much I'll have to find that sometime and show you. Yeah, but you're saying that Spiral. I'm really hoping that Spiral is secretly working on a Star Wars RPG. Because EA has a license, and Spiral is a affiliated, if not owned, I don't know which one it is, by EA.
Yeah, I don't know the exact connection.
But I feel like if they wanted, they could have EA could have Spiral make the game.
Sure.
And I feel like it'd be within the contract rights.
Yeah.
And we don't know what Spiral's really working on. So it's like, they were doing Mass Effect, obviously. But they have, I believe Spiral has 2 teams, though.
Yeah, I think that they do.
And we don't know what the other team's doing. I would love if that's what they're doing, is secretly developing a nice KOTOR.
Yeah, I agree.
But they have, I believe Spiral has 2 teams, though.
Yeah, I think that they do.
And we don't know what the other team's doing. I would love if that's what they're doing, is secretly developing a nice awesome KOTOR.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, sorry, can you guys hear me? Cool, we're back.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so so this is Battlefield 1. It's one thing that I wanted to talk about. So Battlefield 1, going back to World War I. And World War I hasn't been explored as much as World War II. I think there's a lot of things that can be explored. Zeppelins. I mean, come on. It's the first war that we used tanks. It's the first war that we used planes. So I think there's a lot that can be explored with it.
It was a brutal
extremely
conflict.
Extremely brutal. One thing that I thought was funny when they were up there talking about the game, I don't know if you caught this part that they were saying, people were asking us, is there going to be was it mustard gas? Is they going to have shovels, which I'm assuming he's talking about the trenches.
Yeah.
Trench warfare. And they said yes. So if we're going to have trench warfare battles in this, it's going to be disgusting.
And I think in one of the trailers they showed mustard gas.
Yes, they did.
Whether or not it's going to be a weapon you can use, or if it's just in cutscenes or something, would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because, we all used mustard gas at that time.
We did, and I think that it would be cool to have it as like an environmental thing you have to avoid.
I can see that.
Yeah, so it may not be something that you can specifically throw in and target, but to be able to use that not to be able to use it, but to be able for them to use it from a storytelling standpoint in a single-player campaign or multiplayer where they're mustard gassing certain areas could be really cool.
Yeah, and the game looks beautiful. And the Frostbite engine is amazing. It's an amazing engine.
It really is.
What it can do is just unbelievable, and I feel like we'll get in far enough into this console generation. I was going to tap these consoles out, but they'll be getting to leverage it and figure out what they're doing with it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that it depends on how tapped in you are when it comes to video game generations. But the beginning of the last generation of consoles, compared to what came out at the end for the PS3 or the Xbox,
night and day difference.
It's night and day. So we're getting better and better stuff coming out on the PS4 and the Xbox One, and then we're even talking about bringing up to some Project Scorpio and the PS4K or whatever, Project Neo, whatever they're going to call it. There's even better stuff we're going to get on that. One thing that Microsoft mentioned on the when it came to Xbox One is if you buy an Xbox One game, you're going to get it on PC as well, on Windows 10.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing that's the Windows 10 store is how they're going to distribute that.
That's my presumption too.
Which I think is fantastic because there's a lot of people who either they play with both or they prefer PC games. Maybe it gives you more options, especially since Microsoft themselves handle Windows, they handle Xbox. It
only makes sense. I'm actually surprised that it took this long to happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm presuming that this had to do with the different architectural between the OS that was running on the 360 and at that point either Windows 7 or 8, depending on when. I feel like when they designed Windows 10, I think, and let's be honest, the Xbox One interface was Windows 10.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I feel like when they built those, they built that. I have to believe that they had this in mind a long time, and they've been building. When they began to develop Windows 10 and the Xbox One, they built that intention into it initially, and it's just now coming to fruition, which is bravo for them to think that far out.
I'd agree. I think that Microsoft realizes that they have a stranglehold when it comes to Office, when it comes to the corporate market. If you go into a corporate, unless you're talking about a company that writes their own software, those guys will use Linux or Mac or whatever they want to use. But when it comes to a regular Office setting, you're going to be using a Windows product. And I think they realize, okay, we've got that aspect. So, and the gaming, they're not selling Xbox One as well. This is kind of a way to cross market both of that. And one thing that I thought as well is that I think that between this and Project Scorpio, I think Scorpio is going to kind of blend the lines of PC and console.
Yeah, those specs are amazing.
The specs are fantastic. My thing about Scorpio, though, is we're talking about 4K gaming.
Yeah.
We're talking about, 6 teraflops. For the thing that performs for 6 teraflops is just fantastic. Those are free stickers, by the way, if you want one. And business cards for our YouTube show and Twitch channel. We're talking about 6 teraflops. Oh, one sticker, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll cut one out for you if you want. Yeah. If you hand it to me, I'll cut one out.
But
Sorry,
as Patrick was
I had to
saying,
cut things out.
the 6 tail flops is just for console gaming unheard of, really.
It really is. I think, and PC, to get a PC that actually performs this well, you're talking about spending, you know,
It's a high-end PC.
It's a high-end PC, so it used to be that was a couple $1,000s. Now we're talking about maybe, I don't know, $1,200 or so. You can probably pull one out. I just built one for just under $1,000. It's a high-end PC, so it used to be that was a couple $1,000s. But I just built one for just under $1,000, and it's not 4K capable, but we're talking 2 gig of video.
Yeah.
I've got 16 gig of RAM, solid state hard drive. It's good enough to play whatever's coming out.
Yeah.
But it's still not 4K capable. So the question is price point on that.
That's what I was wondering, how they're going to do. And I know that Microsoft obviously is going to be able to build it cheaper than you would be able to, because they've got those connections to buy stuff in bulk.
Exactly.
And have the manufacture done themselves. But yeah, I'm really, and I have to wonder if that's part of the reason why it's actually not till next year. They'll wait for some of the prices to drop.
I think they're waiting for the price to drop. I think it's probably going to come out, and I hate saying this, but I think it's going to come out at least $600. I mean, we're talking about essentially what amounts to a high-end gaming PC, but thrown into a console version. I think it's going to be around $600. If it's less than that, they're going to be losing a lot of money.
I'm going to say they're going to go for 500.
500.
I feel like they saw what happened. Granted, they have another console out.
They have the Xbox One.
Yep.
So you can get the Xbox One to be the more affordable one to use.
Yeah, but I feel like they saw what happened with the PS3 with the initial high price point, and I think they realized that those. And don't get me wrong, not that $500 is cheap, but $500. Once they'll say that beneath $500, once you cross that $500 line, those things psychological thing that clicks on prices.
I think you're right. It seems more affordable when you say $499. That seems a lot more affordable than saying $600.
Yeah.
So psychologically, if you put it at the price point, it may be kind of like what they did with the PS3. When the PS3 first came out, they first announced, not when they first announced it, because they were announcing it at $699, and they were like, oh, that's not going to work. Sony was losing, I think it was like $150 or $200 per console when the PS3 came out. So it may be a situation like that where Microsoft is saying, okay, we're willing to lose a little bit of money on every single console for Scorpio to get into the hands of people, to get people to play 4K.
Yeah, and
4K is kind of the future.
And you have to imagine they're also hedging the bets a little bit, because they'll get the money back on software sales as well as a little bit. And the more consoles they can get out there, I feel like they might be trying to go off of either the some of the PC games, try to get some PC games come over to consoles.
Yep.
Especially with that cross-buy into the system.
I think the cross-buy helps with that. And I think the cross-buy not only helps with that, but it also helps to kind of solidify if consoles, everyone moves away from consoles and move over to PCs.
Yep.
If you're cross-buying with an Xbox One, now you're getting all those games on both. If they phase out consoles eventually, then you still have a PC copy of the game.
Yep.
I think it helps to kind of cross-pollinate like all of your games. And I think it's good business for them to do to get it in the hands of more people if they play PC or if they play Xbox One. Either way, I mean, I've talked to some people who have a PC. They don't have an Xbox One, but they were saying, well, I kind of want to get one later on.
Yeah.
So I'll buy Xbox One games if it's cross buy on that. Buy an Xbox One game, get the PC one. You can play the PC. And all your save states, all your achievements, everything's going to be linked. So
it's very akin to what Sony was doing with the Vita and the PS3 or PS4.
Yeah.
Well,
the cross-buy.
The cross-buy on that. Slightly different approach, but
that
similar.
one's developer dependent.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But,
well, this one's being not forced, but it's being forced.
It's being forced. Microsoft, I feel like Microsoft is going to push a lot of their first-party stuff is going to do this.
Yeah.
The third-party stuff, they're working out on the back end to basically say, well, I mean, basically Xbox One and
amount of full-party games coming on PC anyways.
A lot of them do. So basically, you integrate all of the PC stuff, the Windows 10 store, push that out, and everything will work fine.
Yeah.
Switching gears slightly, one thing that I was going to say, hashtag Patrick was right, because I called this. Quake Champions was announced. Quake coming back, I think, was really cool to bring this game back. A lot of people haven't played this since Quake 2.
Yep.
And to be able to bring this back, they didn't talk a lot about it. They just showed a trailer for Quake Champions. The online, I'm guessing this is going to be a mobile.
that would make sense for the evolution of the series. And I'm not surprised they brought, because in my mind, the staples of the FPS of the genre of PC shooters were Doom, Wolfenstein, and Quake.
Yeah.
And this was the one pillar missing to kind of bring back, and they have the rights to it. You have to, you bought them.
Yeah, Bethesda bought id, so they have the rights to this stuff. Doom Doom was my second of the id games. I played Wolfenstein, Sphere of Destiny, the sequel, and then I played Doom. When Quake came out, though, the multiplayer aspect when it came to Quake was phenomenal. It drew a lot of people in when multiplayer was first becoming a thing. To bring people in to play these games. And this was a LAN connection when we were doing that. This is before Team Fortress and Half-Life took over. We bring in Quake. You can play Doom. Doom just didn't work quite as well.
Yeah.
But Quake multiplayer was one of my favorite games to play against people. And I think it also was unapologetic. Doom was unapologetic when it came to gore.
It was.
And demons. But Quake was like, all right, we're going to be more visceral.
Yes.
And we're going to shoot nail guns.
Yeah.
You're going to, I mean, it's even worse, explosions of body parts and stuff. So,
now,
really cool.
If you want to make a prediction on this one, do you think a large chunk of Quake's heritage was also the map editors, and given the ability over to the community to make their own levels, do you think they're going to do that with this new Quake?
I think that they are. They're already doing that with Doom. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
So the Doom, let's see if I can grab this. One thing that they announced when it came to Doom, I'm going to cue this up a little bit. When they were talking about Doom, they were talking about the multiplayer aspect and everything people were liking on it. But then they mentioned they have Doom snap maps right there. So being able to create your own multiplayer games, being able to create your own single-player campaign, enemy placement and everything. So basically bringing back those map editors, but doing it with Doom. I think this was their way to test the waters. Like you mentioned, Quake was the first one, the map editors on that, to give those tools over to a player just straight up.
And a really robust set of tools, too.
It really was. And this one is really user-friendly, so that was PC. This is user-friendly for those on consoles, what it looks like. I think this is a test of the waters to what they're going to bring to Quake. One thing that Bethesda does, and actually Redbeard talked about it on the show a while back, Bethesda likes to say, to test the waters with a specific aspect. When it came to Skyrim, they brought in, did you see the, what is it called? I keep wanting to say Hearthstone. It's the Hearth.
The expansion.
The expansion, the Bethesda expansion that let you build your own house. So they did that.
Fallout 4.
Fallout 4. So then Fallout 4 comes out and they expand that and you build your own settlement. Now they're bringing it in there, and then they realize they can do this so well that they're actually going to do it for the build your own Fallout shelters.
Oh yeah.
So and to be able to do that, which I thought was great for them to announce that. See if I can cue that up as well.
And I know that not everyone liked that aspect of Fallout, but for the people who did, this is a great next level for that.
I think that to be able to build your own vault, to take all those aspects, and they said on there they didn't want it to be too much of a grind fest, so it may be interesting how they balance out this. Or they also mentioned one thing that they're going to be doing is there's going to be a quest line that has to do with it as well. So basically, you'll have some type of quest, and what I'm hoping that what that does is it gives you a ton of resources.
Yes.
So then you can build your own vault.
I'd have to imagine it would. And that's going to be the whole idea behind it.
I would hope so. Then they can say, hey, here's the DLC. If you haven't played the game in a couple months, 3 months, or however long it's been since you beat the game, maybe you did, or maybe you may or may not have come back off Far Harbor, but at least you can come back and play Vault Tech. One thing that I noticed on there, you see the Vault Dwellers like doing different things, and I'm really hoping that they take the aspects from Fallout Shelter mobile game and bring it over to Fallout 4, because if I can play Fallout Shelter in my Fallout 4 and make all my settlers, make sure they're happy, give them food.
What would be cool is if you could do some aspects on the mobile and it would feed into the game.
That'd be really cool if you could sync those up.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're not saying they can't. That's what they're doing.
That's our dream world.
Yeah, that's
right?
a pie in the sky.
That's our pie in the sky. To be able to do that would be great because then you can take it on the go.
Yep.
Go take the game on the go. Play it. Sorry, it looks like this got a little scuffed. Take the game on the go and be able to play and work on your shelter. Come back and check on your settlers and everything would be really cool.
Yeah, you can be at walk on a lunch break, sit down real quick, spin a half an hour, and then let them keep doing stuff while you're away for the day.
Yeah, and again, this is something that, like I said, they like to borrow one game and bring it to another one. To be able, that would be really cool. It's one thing that we kind of jump around here on the show, so if you kind of follow us for a bit. Did you play Star Wars? You played the Old Republic, right?
Yes.
So the companions on it, you can send them off to do missions. And one thing that I haven't played it in a while. I don't think they've integrated this. One thing we talked about possibly doing was on an app to be able to send off companions while you're not playing.
That would make sense.
So it's just kind of one of those things. Keep the game going. And not only does it keep you going, but it keeps you thinking about the game. We're inundated with so many different games nowadays that to keep it in your everyday thoughts of saying, I really am looking forward to doing this in Fallout, will help them get back to the DLC.
And I feel like that would help them. Dragon Age Inquisition had a similar idea. We could send people out to do stuff. And there'll be days where I don't have time to play this, but I got to boot up for 15 minutes because everyone's going to be done with their quest. I got to send out a new quest real quick. But if you could do that on your mobile platform, that I think would be a nice, and it'd be a nice little touch.
Sure, it'd be much more convenient. And one thing that what was it? Kind of bouncing around here. To be able to do that on Fallout would be fantastic. To be able to do that on that would be good. It's easier than booting up your PC. When it came to the Old Republic, I would boot up my PC in the morning.
Yep.
Send off companions, go to work, come back, send off companions. Whether or not I was playing, I was still jumping into the game. I would look at the auction house, and then I would do that as well.
I would boot it up when I woke up, go take a stroll, and then I got the stroll. I then go and log in at that point and do something. I only played it for a little while. I just can't I tried WoW for a while.
Sure.
Couldn't get into it. But this night, I was really intrigued, so I went and gave it a shot. I didn't last very long. But
WoW, my biggest problem, I really loved playing World of Warcraft. It was one of my favorite games to play. The biggest problem that I had was you have to invest so much time.
It's a huge investment.
Check our sound here.
Yeah, it's a huge investment.
Sound's still doing good. So, one thing that it's a huge time investment, and you're playing at your own pace. Or pacing with other people. So if you have other people in your guild or people that you know in real life, or people that you kind of partner up with, depending on how much you can play and how much time you devote to the game, other people will outpace you.
Oh yeah.
And that gets really hard. And they've integrated a lot of looking for group kind of stuff now. I don't know how long it's been since you've played forever.
Yeah, probably 6 years.
Okay, so they've integrated a looking for group aspect to the game, so you can actually go into looking for group for quests. The quest helper, I don't know if you played that. The quest helper was an add-on that you do for World of Warcraft.
Okay.
So they integrated that in there. They actually saw what third-party developers were doing. They integrated that, so it was easier to actually go off and see what your next quest objectives were. The looking for group thing helped, but
it's not quite the same as you want to play with friends.
It's not the same.
Because what my friends had to do was they had their main character they would play with level, and they had a second character written for that when they would play a lot more than I had time to play.
Sure.
So they'd have a second character they would not touch unless I was playing.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, let me log back here with so and so. We can do a quest together.
Yep. And then they have to make sure that they were pacing with you.
Yeah.
John actually did that with me when we played World of Warcraft for a while because he got to the end game kind of stuff. He was raiding consistently, and between my work, my wife, other games, all that kind of stuff, I didn't have enough time to put into it. I got relatively consistent on the days that I was playing, but it wasn't like every 8 p.m. on Thursday we're raiding.
You didn't have a set schedule like some people do. Yeah.
And so the guild that were running certain dungeons, they had a schedule that they put out. The problem was that if you weren't the top, one of the top people who played, showed up consistently, then you weren't brought into the groups to play to do the raids.
Yeah, that's just,
So and that got to be really hard. And I know these guys were trying to be serious, but that was really hard for me. Anyways, back to E3.
yeah,
Jump
sorry.
around.
Yeah, we jumped the talk on that one.
That's what
but-
we do here. I was going to say, you saw Prey, right?
Yes.
So I didn't play the first Prey. Did you check it out? Did you get to play that?
I never actually played the initial one.
That's what we do here.
It intrigued me, but not enough for me to buy it at the time. When it came out, did not have as much of a disposable income, so I was a little bit more picky as to the games I got.
Sure.
I'm excited, but not enough. This looks drastically different, though, than...
It does. It does. Some people were actually complaining. I'm actually going to fast forward just slightly on this in this trailer, so don't mind me. But one thing that a lot of people were complaining about when it came to this the game was that it's so different than the first one, and it's different. They had a Prey 2 demo. Bethesda showed
Years ago.
I think 5 years ago. I can't remember how long ago it was. They had a Prey 2 demo. They showed. They had it at E3. I believe it was at E3. They showed this thing off, and then what they basically came out with here is a completely different game with the Prey license, IP.
I feel like that's okay, depending on, like,
They showed this thing off, and then
Final Fantasy, essentially each game is different, but it's got, when you play it, it's got this same soul. Like, you can tell it's a Final Fantasy game. And I don't see any reason why they couldn't do something like that with this.
Would you say it has the same spirit within?
Field within. What about big company companies?
No, I'd agree. Every Final Fantasy is completely different. Other than not including 10-2.
Well, I'd say even 10 and 10-2.
Yeah,
completely different battle systems.
They're very different battle systems. But every Final Fantasy 15 is coming out. That was originally Final Fantasy 13 versus, which was still gonna be different. But they still have the same feel for the most part. This one seems like they're going more into the Kingdom Hearts. The Kingdom Hearts team that actually did this game.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Prey still. I was like,
oh, sorry, no.
No. I caught up with you. This took a second. Yeah.
When we showed, and I'm going to do this kind of on the fly, so apologies for that. When they showed the trailer for this, it just looks beautiful and everything. But the combat system, and I think 13 looked beautiful as well. But the combat, I hated. This one is bringing it back. They're not bringing it back to the timed battle, which is what they were doing before. It's still mixing a little bit, but it's so Kingdom Hearts.
It's very Kingdom. Did you play the Platinum demo?
I did.
The one where you're small in the room, that felt like a Kingdom Hearts level.
I actually pulled Whitney in to play to look at that. And she hasn't played it yet. But that's the first thing. The first thing she said is, "This looks like Kingdom Hearts." And I said, "That's because it's the Kingdom Hearts team." And her response to that was, "Why the hell aren't they making Kingdom Hearts 3?"
Well, in no defense, I mean, the guy was tapped to Forces 14 however long ago, and he began working on that, and it's been going for this long. So it only makes sense that essentially he's stuck with working on two major games right now. And I think, honestly, Final Fantasy 15 is the prettiest squirrel Phoenix right now. And my gut feeling is right now nobody's working on Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't think we're not going to see Kingdom Hearts 3, I feel like, probably until 2019, 2020.
I think you're right. That which it really kind of makes me sad because
we're not going to see Kingdom Hearts 3.
Excuse me.
Probably until 2019, 2020. But yeah, so Kingdom Hearts 3... And depends on how much they got done with it before they yanked everyone off. But I have to believe they've yanked everyone off for that team to finish up 15 on time.
I think they have, and I know that they talked about they're going so close to saying more on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah,
hasn't happened yet, but. I think you're right. I think they're trying to pull everyone in. This game was basically vaporware for quite a long time.
Yeah, they have to get it out.
They've been developing this game for almost 10 years now, and it's one thing that I'm really hopeful. I'm really hoping that it really hits it out of the park when it actually comes out. I've been wanting to play this back since it was Final Fantasy 13. It drew me in, and I was saying, okay, Final Fantasy 13 is cool, but when they said Final Fantasy 13 Versus, when I first saw that, they were saying, okay, we're going to have an action combat combat system, I thought, okay, this is bringing it into the modern world, right?
Yeah.
This is bringing it up to modern day because, let's face it, the timed battles were done. They're done to say originally they're done to save programming space.
Yeah.
It gives you some strategy. But it's a very dated system. It still works in some cases.
Yeah.
But I think the action is what really need to go back to.
And they could always still go back and pull something like that off, but I feel like they'd have to. They've been slowly progressing the same way. I'd say almost since 12.
Yeah.
12 was essentially the forced major departure and moving towards what we have now. Which is actually why I think 12 is going to be a master, because that's actually most akin to what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm actually changing up one thing real quick while we're doing this.
Yeah.
As we're live, I want to make sure I get your guys' comments in the comment section. Kind of play a little bit of Forza while we're doing that.
This looks beautiful, by the way.
It really does.
I'm not big on racing games because I unless it involves throwing bananas and shells at people, I kind of suck at racing games.
I suck at racing games, but I like them. It's this, it's the dilemma. It's the same thing with fighters. With fighting games are really fun to me, but when it comes to actually like playing them competitively, I just completely suck.
No, I can button mash with the same as everyone else, but in terms of actually, and I have tons of respect for the people who take it and make a science out of it.
Sure.
But that's really what it is. It's almost like a science. It's a you know what someone else can be doing. You can read the signs. You know how to counsel stuff, and that's just unbelievable and it's awesome.
It really is.
I'm with you though. I driving games and fighting games, I respect them. I enjoy play. I don't buy them because I suck at them so much, but I really appreciate them.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Excuse me for just a second.
Driving games and fighting games, I enjoy respect them. I enjoy play. I don't buy them. I don't buy them. And the new Forza games, it just looks breathtaking.
It really does.
I'm actually be kind of curious when this comes out. This is coming out roughly the same time as the new Gran Turismo game.
It is, and I think that from when it comes to racing games, if you're a big racing game fan, they're very different games. But one thing that while they're very different games, they still tap into the racing audience, right? So Forza is your more granular, soup up your car kind of thing. It's basically real life. If you had a lot of money to buy a car, trick it out, race it professionally. Forza kind of does that. Gran Turismo is a little bit more fun. But it's, they're hopefully they don't come out too close to each other, because otherwise they'll basically cannibalize each other, the sales for.
Yeah, but I think Forza September, mid to late September. I can't remember when Gran Turismo is fall release as well. I'm pretty sure it'll be out before holidays, what Sony said.
I think so.
So they'll probably be within, at least within 4 weeks of one another.
That's going to really suck. As speaking of that, there's one thing that I think really was unfortunate when the Battleborn and Overwatch launched. So Battleborn actually launched. We were actually over at. We went to the launch party Gearbox did in downtown, which was really cool, and everyone was excited about it.
Awesome. Yeah,
and
lots of energy, and then
the game came out and it got some decent reviews, and then Overwatch came out.
Yeah.
And Overwatch is kind of taken over, and I think it's kind of unfortunate.
I did think that Battleborn was still on the top 10 list the previous month, though. So I mean, it's still. I mean, I feel like they made the people saying that it tanked. I don't think that's the case. I feel like Gearbox probably came ahead and it was probably profitable. Sure. Was it as profitable as they wanted? Probably not. But it didn't tank. If I didn't lose money off of it, it had solid sales. It just, unfortunately, it wasn't as big as it could have been because of that.
I agree, and I think that it's really unfortunate. It's just straight up timing.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I don't think it was malicious on either one. It was dumb luck, because it's probably what it was is they began looking at League of Legends and how much money that was making.
Yep.
And they both and them, and I thought there was another one too that essentially they began looking at how can we involve this over the console, and Overwatch and Battleborn all different.
Yeah. But from a standpoint, if you're on the outside looking in and you're saying, sell me on this, the first thing you look at is you're saying, okay, they're both overblown color, first-person shooter MOBAs, even though they try, they're not straight up the same MOBA and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of, the same people are going to be playing one game or the other, or both, and basically taking your time saying, what do I want to spend my time on? Do I want to spend my time on Battleborn? Do I want to spend my time on Overwatch, the one that's dominating everything?
And some of that I feel like comes down to, and Gearbox has a lot of respect for the gaming community, but Blizzard is a monster in the gaming community.
So Blizzard has had, if you don't count Lost Vikings, Blizzard has had 3 IPs. Warcraft, then Diablo, then StarCraft.
Yeah.
And they've been coming out with sequels and coming out with better versions of each one, but they've been working on 3 intellectual properties this entire time.
Yeah.
They finally come out with the 4th one. They've spent a lot of time, what was it, Titan?
Yeah.
They took a lot of the models from Titan, so the visuals that they've been tweaking and kind of come out with things, I think Blizzard has a better reputation. As much as I love Gearbox, don't get me wrong, we love Gearbox. We're local around there as well. I think that Gearbox left a bad taste in in people's mouths for a couple of games.
Yeah.
And I think that it was a business decision to outsource. They outsourced Aliens, Colonial Marines, a good amount of that. And also the Borderlands pre-sequel.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a huge Borderlands fan. I've gotten a ton of people actually hooked on Borderlands that were back when it first came out.
And not that pre-sequel was bad by any means.
Pre-sequel wasn't bad, but
it just wasn't as good as 2.
Yeah, it wasn't just 2.
And it felt different.
I think one I think is still my favorite. 2 is really good. I love the world in the first one, but the pre-sequel, it didn't have the same heart.
I agree.
And one thing that I think Gearbox does a great job of, when they get given enough time, they have so much heart in the games. And Battleborn has that heart in it.
It does.
It just has unfortunate timing. So it's one of those things that we'll still see how well they do, in the long run. And I think there's enough gamers nowadays that you don't have to be the MOBA.
I'd agree with that. And the other issue, I feel like, to be honest, is that there's a lot of perpetual online games that all. You've got Destiny, you've got The Division, you've got Overwatch, you've got Battleborn, and there was one I'm completely missing that was made by.
Talking about not League of Legends.
No. It's fairly new as well, and done by another high-end developer. It's really skipping my mind out.
Okay.
I'll think of like 2 o'clock in the morning. Don't worry. But there's only. The audience for those is only so big.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think they're bumping up against one another. Some more than others. Like I feel like Destiny Division, I think are bumping up against one another.
They are.
But and Overwatch and Battleborn are bumping up. But even I have to believe that even Overwatch and Division are bumping up. Not as much, but I feel like they're still sucking away from one another.
They are. And I think that 15 years ago, you would have one that just took over.
Yeah.
And now I think
World of Warcraft. Or Team Fortress.
Yep. Those games absorbed everybody in that type of play style. It killed EverQuest.
Yeah.
I mean, World of Warcraft killed EverQuest. It killed a bunch of other games. There are other games that have been trying to come out when it comes to those. Speaking of those, they actually showed a little bit of. We're talking about the Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah. And this one I was intrigued by, but by the time Elder Scrolls Online came out, I'd already completely given up on even attempting to play online games.
Yeah.
So I hope I mean, obviously, I haven't really looked at the subscription base for it, but obviously it's enough for them to keep going with it.
Well, so
Lots of the other ones fold within like 6 months.
yeah. So the cool thing about Elder Scrolls Online is there's no monthly subscription,
Which is a huge plus.
which is a huge plus. So you pay 60 when it first came out. I've seen it down to like 30 or 40. To be able to get a MOBA for that and not have to pay monthly is really great. I think that the thing that kind of sucks about it is that they are trying more. They're trying more and more to get people to play it religiously, but to me, it doesn't have the same soul as the Elder Scrolls, Skyrim.
Yeah.
So I think that again, outsourcing the game. They outsourced the game, so another company made Elder Scrolls Online. So Skyrim, the teams that made Skyrim and Fallout, not making the same game, so it loses a little bit of that heart. It's still a fun game to play.
I will say to a certain extent, I can understand them outsourcing it because the teams that make the traditional games, you still got to pump out the traditional games, and that's what they're known for. But B, the big thing is that's what they're good at.
Yes.
I think the skill set needed to make a good massive online game is a very different skill set than needed to make a traditional single-player RPG.
Yeah, I would agree. Having to being able to get the right community to be able to cultivate that community once they start playing that game, to keep people playing, to keep people coming back. Warcraft does the best job of that. Even with their subscription, even with their subscription and everything, they're bringing more and more people coming and play constantly. Yeah, they've had an ebb and flow when it came to their subscription stuff, but they're still making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
The World of Warcraft movie came out. It's still not going to break the bank for them. They're probably going to break close to even on that. They may lose some money, but losing the money on that isn't going to matter because they have, I think, 7 or 8 million active players.
Yeah, no, this is not a Spirits Within story. Well, Spirits Within pretty much brought down Squaresoft.
It did.
And if it wasn't for the multiple Square Enix, they wouldn't be around.
Exactly right.
This movie could have came out and only made $10, and it would have been okay. And it did. I mean, I feel like they're probably not making money off of it, thanks to the Chinese market.
Oh, I agree. The Chinese market, it's gonna do well there, and actually, it's one thing that I don't know how worldwide we go here. Let's see. So far, let's check our chat. Ask us questions in the chat, by the way. We're kind of hanging out here talking about stuff. So words on saying it's sweet science.
It's probably back to talking about the fighting games. We mentioned it's a science to be able to play the fighting games well.
It's probably more than likely.
And sweet science would be appropriate. If people can do it, it's really, and to watch the people who can do those well, to watch them play is just right.
It really is. Watching those people play and watching people play like Rocket League is fantastic. These guys play at such a high level. It's really cool seeing that. I love playing, like I said, I love playing just fighting games. I love playing Rocket League. We're going to play Rocket League later on today at 4 p.m. Come up here or watch our stream online. Either way, we're going to have some controllers here so you can play here live with one of my favorite guys to play Rocket League with that I haven't played Rocket League yet with. Cameron's actually just playing with us from Korea. So we're going international here. One thing I was kind of on that tangent was going to talk about was some of the people I work with are in the Philippines, and they absolutely love World War. Yeah. So I think as U.S. People in the U.S. here, we're a little more critical when it comes to movies. Not to say that they aren't, but they picked up a lot on the themes and everything that are going on in the movie, and they gravitated towards it in a way that we would as well, but we just completely panned. We see the critics talking about the movie.
I feel like, the U.S. movie-going audience is two things. Like you said, the critics, but when the reviews come out, a lot of people really pay attention to that in the U.S. And I feel like the expectation of U.S. moviegoers, certainly so many movies made in the U.S.
Sure.
And the budgets are huge for them. We have a different expectation level of what we expect out of movies.
That's exactly right. We expect every movie from a viewer standpoint, we expect every movie to be just a work of art.
Yeah.
And then from a business standpoint, they expect to make a ridiculous profit on every single movie.
Yeah, it's considered a fail if it's not at least, I think it's either 2 or 3 times the budget. It's considered a fail.
So, for example, Batman, I don't know if you saw Batman vs. Superman just ended its theatrical release. Officially, the U.S. made $330 million. So in comparison, what was it? Civil War has made 680 or something like that. U.S. That's not international. Internationally, they've made even more.
And I don't know what the budget for Superman v. Batman was, but probably around $100 to $125 million. That's seems about right. So that's a huge profit. But even from a street perspective, they're like, yeah, that movie didn't do so good because it only made a couple $100 million. Oh, I wish I had that problem.
Everything, and it's one thing that South Park's even lampooning. Did you see the Fractured But Whole trailer? So in the South Park,
that game looks so amazing.
It really does.
And I really like what they've done with the combat system. I think it's a nice little they be able to position yourself and have a different ability, have a greater impact on the attack based on your positioning. It brings a nice strategy element to it.
I think it really does. Being able to knock your opponent into someone else.
Yeah.
So if you strategically place one of your characters on each side, being able to get an attack of opportunity, it is very apparent before if Trey hadn't said on there that he was big into board games and D&D, like I would have picked up on that because of the whole D&D aspect or Pathfinder aspect. You play Pathfinder with your opponent coming into your even though it's not your turn, your opponent coming into your radius, your attack of opportunity, you hit that. So one thing that they talked about in the South Park game, which I was curious about, the first South Park game was Stick of Truth. They talked about, they basically were lampooning Lord of the Rings and lampooning Game of Thrones and lampooning LARPing. And here they're taking the characters that, if you're a fan of South Park, characters that are just amazing characters on the show, they're superheroes and having them fight. And when I saw this trailer and realizing that they're doing the Civil War, but they're doing the Civil War because Hartman has the Marvel plan of 3 phases, and Stan, Kyle and a few others come up and say, no, we don't want that. We want everybody to be in there. We want a Coon and Friends movie right off the bat. We want everyone, and the DC model of let's get everybody in there to play all at once, and the other one going the more Marvel aspect. So to be able to lampoon that was really cool. Everybody in there. It's one thing that South Park does really well is to be able to take something that's very topical and be able to come out with a show or a game just straight off the bat, being able to lampoon Civil War and be able to say, hey, we want to make $1 billion franchise, and having 2 different ways to do that.
I'm really surprised with how quickly they were able to get this game on around, because based off of the storyline, it has to be fairly fresh in our heads.
Yeah, probably past 6 or 8 months.
But the way they do those shows, they walk through death. They do stuff done. I feel like they'll take this in close to the game, which is fantastic.
Exactly. If you haven't seen already, there's a documentary on Netflix about how they do South Park 6 days to air, which talks about how they actually air an episode out of South Park 6 days after they made it. They start writing it on Thursday, and they finish the show Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. Take Wednesday off to relax. It airs that evening, and they write, animate, record all the voices and everything in 6 days. So that's why they can be so topical on South Park.
No other show is especially an anime show, that can do that.
No other show can do it.
Yeah, and no, they have to work non-stop. And I'm actually...
That's why they do like 6 weeks here, 7 months here. People complain because they go on a break for a month and a half or 2 months, and they're going on a break because
they run themselves out.
They've been working 6 to 8 weeks straight. So yeah, they deserve a break like that.
Yeah, and I really respect the last 2 seasons when they've gone down to the 12 episode storyline. Has
breaking
been
it up in 5 piece,
and it's been fantastic because they have a nice overarching storyline. I feel like the shows are done in better since they did. I feel like they're able to focus and not have to go.
Yeah.
And that's probably how we'll get in these games as well.
I think
because
so.
they've got this time down.
We're getting content. We're getting better content quicker in the games and the show.
Yep.
Hey.
Good. How about you?
Yeah, live. Yeah, we're actually live. We're actually live on Twitch. We're going to archive this over to YouTube later. Yeah, we do a live. We do a weekly gaming news show every single Sunday on Twitch, and it comes on YouTube and podcast, so you can actually get it no matter what your preferred media method is. We bring it out to it. So. Yeah, that's actually our business card. So you can check us out. We're on Twitter, TWIOCH. Yeah. So yeah, we're on Twitch. We stream on that, but we're also on YouTube. So like I said, however you like, if you like podcasts or if you like YouTube, whatever you prefer, more on YouTube. We archive. I was going to say we've got I think 40 episodes of the news on there. We do the news comes out. It used to be every Tuesday, but we're going to do it live now. So we're actually going to every Sunday we'll have new gaming news. We're going to do movie review stuff as well. We do streaming of games as well. Age of audience, I've got everywhere between 17 and early 40s, just depending on the gamer. We're going to do movie review stuff more. We try to police our words so we can appeal to everybody. Try to censor ourselves. So, but with it being live, sometimes it doesn't happen. But yeah. Yeah,
actually, I'm a guest.
He's actually a guest. Yeah, it's my show along with one of my friends who's actually stepped out for a bit. But 2 of us do the live show. Chris has been on a couple times. I don't know, you know Captain Redbeard? Do you know Captain Redbeard? He works for GameStop. We have different people coming on depending on what like the subject is, or like we do a Dark Souls. Have you played Dark Souls? So it's a fantasy RPG that's action RPG. They don't tell you a lot of the lore and the story. So we do an episode that's specifically like, if you've gotten to this part in the game, let's talk about what you've experienced and the story behind that. So we do that. We're going to do movie reviews, video game reviews, a little bit of everything. But the news shows are bread and butter. We do it live we're doing it live every single week from now on. And we're doing live like the entire weekend here. So yeah, it's cool stuff. So like I said, if you're on YouTube a lot, subscribe to us on YouTube. It's every Sunday, and then we put out other stuff too. We're on Twitter. What else is on there? Sorry, we just got these. So if on Facebook as well, if you grab us on Facebook, you can message us on there too. Yeah. And then our emails. Depends on how you want to contact us. Yeah. But yeah, thanks. Oh, thank you. Thank you. How you doing? Cool. Yeah. Yeah, we're just kind of hanging out, doing everything. Yeah, we do YouTube, Twitch. We're just getting into Twitch now. It's easy to do live. We may be, if we can work it out, we may be doing simulcast from now on YouTube and Twitch live. Either way, it archives to YouTube, and then all the audio is stripped out to a podcast. So, like I said, if you're a podcast guy, if you're a YouTube guy, we got you covered either way.
Yep. And the podcast is very musically comes out. If it doesn't, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
I do the podcast. I'll do the podcast.
Yeah. So we're gonna do, like I said, we're launching Sundays. We used to do Tuesday. We do gaming news mostly, and what's happening was we were recording on Sunday, and by the time we were done editing, it would come out Tuesday morning. So we were a little late on the news game. So now we're going to do it live, and Twitch archives PS5 is really easy to YouTube, so we'll have it all out the same day.
Daddy, you guys come out the same day as PS5 Love You.
Oh, they come out.
They came out Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays.
So I always had the dilemma of which one
do I listen to?
Because I knew that there'll be overlapping news on both sides.
Sunday's a little easier. Also, have you been on? Kind of funny? Kind of funny games. It's Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller. They used to be on IGN. They do a podcasting YouTube thing as well. So they're not local. We are. Are you from here? Sweet. Cool. I would say context. Do you do like gaming stuff? Do you do nerd news? What do you do? Oh, cool. Yeah. This is our first time doing something. Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. This is our first. We do mostly modern games. We play some indie games too as well. Depending on who it is, I play a little bit of everything, and our other main co-host plays a lot of the Sony and Vita titles and stuff. But I would say grab a card and contact us. We have guests come on and do we're open to collaborations and everything. So yeah. Exactly, it's a good networking opportunity, and especially being local, just help everybody out. Yeah, it was relatively last minute, but we're gonna do, since it worked out really well because E3 just happened. So all the news from E3 and everything, like we could do a news show for like 4 hours on all that. So we're basically chatting about E3 the whole weekend. We're gonna be playing Rocket League later on. I mean, it's pretty cool. Yep, green screen going, which XSplit's probably one of the easiest ways to do that. It really works well as long as you got the lighting.
That's the key.
But I will say, if you guys. Yeah.
It looks fantastic.
When you, depending on the camera, we were using an actual camcorder, USB to that, and it wasn't well. It was a Logitech. Yeah. So we picked up a Logitech. So you guys in the feed, if you're listening to this as well, picked up a Logitech webcam. The light system, I think I picked that up for like $60 on Amazon. The green screen, I picked this up for $60 or $70 on Amazon. So this is the most expensive part because it's like $150. So the entire setup cost us. I know that when you add it all up, it's like $250, $300. But we're getting one-time cost. We're getting green screen here. An XSplit. I went ahead and subscribed to that for a couple of options. You get more scenes and some more options with it. But the green screen, as long as you tweak your contrast and everything the right way, once you tweak everything on that webcam, green screen works out pretty well. There aren't too many jaggeds around my head either. So
no.
I was worried that my head would be bouncing off.
Well, actually, you have a full head of hair, actually.
Oh, it's cutting out my hair.
Yeah.
Yep.
Luckily, I'm going bald, and so
I just committed to it. So, as long as you tweak it, it works out pretty well. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Contact us. Have some candy. So back to E3. Bouncing around here. One thing that they didn't talk about on E3 very much, I wish that they did. I'll have to call you back later. One thing that I wish that they had talked about more when it came to E3 is I kind of find my. We're back, by the way. Our stream crashed, so sorry about that. Hopefully everyone stayed on. Sorry about that. Hopefully everyone stayed on. The settings on the camera, they get really granular when it comes to that. The autofocus kept turning on automatically, and then the contrast and stuff. So it's something I got to work out. And I found actually if I adjust the color first, bring down the color first, and then adjust everything, bring it back up, then it works.
That's odd.
How you doing? Yep. Oh, is it? It's not showing. Oh, sorry. Our stream just crashed actually just a second ago, and there we go. We're doing a live stream on Twitch right now. We are on YouTube and do a podcast as well, Video Game News. So we're kind of here promoting that, but also talking about E3 because there was like a ridiculous amount of news with that. Just kind of hanging out and chatting, showing off videos from E3. Yeah. Kind of local. We do YouTube, podcast, and Twitch, whatever you prefer. Yeah. Cool. So again, we're back. Sorry about that. Our stream crashed for a bit. Hopefully it doesn't crash it, and maybe it's scared of it. I don't know. One thing that I was hoping to get more of is the Friday the 13th game.
Oh yeah.
So there's a few people who've been promoting this. Adam Sessler was actually pulled on.
He was huge. He's a huge supporter,
which I thought was great because he's as big of a fan of Friday the 13th as I am, maybe even bigger. But I'm a huge horror film fan. I think Friday the 13th is one of the coolest franchises, and they're going back to hitting a sweet spot around this Friday the 13th 3 and 4 before they really jumped the shark.
What? What do you mean?
before they went into space.
The space was the most realistic one they had.
That was the best. But their asymmetrical gameplay for this game just looks amazing. You can play a camp counselor, you can play Jason Voorhees. So there you are, picking up a camp counselor. So you can play either a camp counselor or play Jason, depending on what who you are or what you decide to play. Asymmetrical gameplay is 1 on 5, I think it was. Yeah, something like that. I'm sure that you'll pick NPCs. They'll bots. Yeah, they'll bots if you're not on there. So you pick camp counselors. You actually have different objectives that you actually want to complete. So depending on what the scenario is or your objectives, you want to survive. Obviously, yes. You want to escape. And as a camp counselor, you can win if you live. Yeah, that's really what it boils down to. If you are Jason, your objective is to kill everybody, and it's showing in there. If you saw one of the things that Jason can actually do is kind of a teleport aspect. And it's one thing that Jason's known for. It's the joking thing. And here's a visceral kill for you. One thing that they showed off in the game is being able to teleport different places because Jason would be chasing people and all of a sudden
they can be someplace else.
Yeah. And
no explanation.
No explanation. And it was one of those things they originally did with Halloween as well. So Halloween did that. Michael Myers would be there and then you turn around and he's not there. It's that slightly supernatural aspect. Yeah. Here you got some camp counselor play. This video, by the way, came out. This video came out in the middle of everything else going on at E3. They didn't get an actual a spot in any of the conferences because they're a smaller studio. Yeah, but this is an automatic buy.
Yeah, I would say this is the perfect IP for asymmetrical gameplay.
It really is. It really is. To have multiple people all trying to fight one, seemingly impossible thing. Evolve tried this, and honestly, they were trying to balance out the monster power versus, I don't know, did you play Evolve?
I did not.
So Evolve, you play a giant monster, and you have multiple, I can't remember the term for their soldier aspect thing. Yeah. So you have multiple people fighting a monster. In this, you have multiple people, camp counselors trying to survive. And one thing that I really like about this is you're sitting there as Jason can't see into there, so if you saw them get under the bed, you could grab them. You would know, obviously, but it's enough where it's like, okay, they can't see.
I love that he does bust physical too. And that's so staying with the spirit of the movies.
Yeah, he wouldn't open it. Well, I would say he can open the door. I would hope you get options.
Yeah.
But one thing they talked about in this is the fear aspect. So being able to basically have that to be able to use the fear of the camp counselors. The more fear that they have, the better you do as Jason. So I'm hoping that what that does is that instills fear into the camp counselors that are running around, giving you more power. So if you creepily walk into the cabin, then it doesn't scare them as much as busting through the door completely. It's pretty cool. How's it going? Hey, yeah, we're actually TWIOCH. We do a live YouTube and Twitch stream of video game news. We also do video game story stuff and some reviews, but our bread and butter is weekly news. We do, yeah, we're actually in Plano. So we do, it's a Twitch feed. We're also going to do live on YouTube later, but you can get us on Twitch, on YouTube, or a podcast of all the audio. Either way, yeah, sure. Kevin will be disappointed he wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh well. But you can get us on Twitch, on YouTube, or a podcast. We're relatively family friendly. We try to keep family friendly. Depending on the game, we try to be. Actually, he's a guest. He's a guest for the time being. My thing and my co-host Kevin. That's actually his card. My card's over there. But either way, I'm Patrick. My card's over there. It's just the difference on the back. All the contact info is the same though. But we're local. We have guests come on the show as well. We do. Like I said, we do game reviews. We're going to start doing movie reviews as well. But the news is our big bread and butter to distill all video game news for people. Because okay. Podcasts to be out on Sundays. We used to be out on Tuesdays, but we're trying to get it out earlier. Because we used to record, edit, and then publish, and it was about a day and a half delay. And when it comes to news, we try to be as quick as possible. So yeah, should have a podcast out on Sundays from now on. But yeah, we're on podcast and YouTube and Twitch, everything.
Oh yeah, Chris White. Yeah.
Hey, pretty good. Try to do a live stream, and then we'll start doing some kind of talking. Jose, if you want to actually pull up a chair, we're talking E3. If you want to, if you want to pile in.
I didn't see all of them, but I definitely watched. I saw the fight.
We're Sony press conference was amazing.
We're kind of bouncing around when it comes to topics. So
yeah, we're not following the strict.
Let's see if we can.
Not sitting on corners.
Let's see if we can all pile in here.
Yeah, that's right. All get in.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. What am I looking at?
Make sure right here. Yeah. I know it's confusing.
I'm doing both.
Okay, we'll see how. Go ahead and talk for a bit.
Hello. Yeah. My name is Christian.
Perfect. Yeah, and actually, it's relatively sensitive, so you can just talk like regular conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It should be good. I'm gonna pull up. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the chat. So far, Owen's the only one chatting with us. A handful of people watching. But yeah, so we're just talking about Friday the 13th game, but we're kind of bouncing around.
So something at E3 I was hoping to be though, but Rockstar has no presence.
Yeah.
Did you hear the rumors about Red Dead?
What's the rumor?
The rumor is that, you know how, so in the Sony press conference, they announced Days Gone, the zombie horror game?
Yes.
And then they had a gameplay demo at the end of the conference?
Yeah. Something else was supposed to be.
Yeah, the rumor is that Red Dead 2 is supposed to be announced by Rockstar, but the opening of the trailer shows a guy walking into an Old Town Tavern and shooting it up. And given the Orlando shooting, they dropped it. They didn't have time to redo it. And so they moved the gameplay demo of Days Gone to the end of it instead of side by side with the announcement.
Maybe pull it up into PSX. I think maybe. That might be too late though. I can feel what the release date is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know how. So it was a rumor.
Yeah, it's a rumor. Yeah. I don't know if it's been debunked yet by Rockstar.
Because I feel like something had to. I feel like something had to been in that spot of vision because that's a very odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Sony's press conference was amazing, but that's very odd to have the revealed trailer and then have
gameplay later.
Yeah, and it felt very much like something else was supposed to be done. The other thing I pulled, and is that originally they were going to reveal the Neoville, and then they backed out once the Scorpio Spectral released, and they realized how much more powerful the Scorpio was compared to the Neo.
Possibly, yeah. Although the design of Scorpio seems silly to me.
It seems ridiculous. It seems
Well, not like the fact that it's powerful is cool, but they've kind of negated like a really legitimate reason to buy the Scorpio, because they said that all games that are going to come out of the Scorpio are not going to be exclusive, which means that the designers are limited by the power of the Xbox One and Xbox One X.
Yeah.
So Scorpio is just going to be games for Xbox One for free. There's no room for designers to try and make bigger games with the Scorpio space.
It's basically what happened the last console generation with the Xbox 360 and PS3. And the PS3 was technically more powerful.
Yeah.
And people, what they were doing, the developers would make a game for the Xbox, port it over PS3, or if they were making them simultaneously, they were gauging the specs of each. So you're playing the lowest common denominator.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which would be really unfortunate if they do that. But I get it. One thing that surprised me, it didn't surprise me that the Xbox, the Slim, the S, it didn't surprise me that that's going to output 4K video. And
Really? I didn't even hear that.
yeah.
Wow.
So if you're doing like a 4K Netflix stream, it'll output.
Yeah.
So it'll handle it, which I think is great, because a lot of people, if they're gamers or if they're just from a cost standpoint, you don't want to buy a Blu-ray player that does 4K and a gaming system.
Which is expensive. I bought one, by the way.
You bought a 4K.
4K Blu-ray player.
Okay, and how much was it? $300? $400. Yeah. See.
Yeah.
So
For $100 less, you can Xbox One S that will do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, presumably it has the player in though to play, because it's a different disc.
it's a different disc. Yeah. I was gonna say, well, go check the specs on it, because if it does, then you can return it. Did you buy it locally or did you order it?
Amazon. But Amazon gives return.
Okay. I was gonna say, because you could be like, oh no, it was a mistake. Return it, give it Slim. Slim's coming out. What is it? November? October?
I believe so. I think October.
Do you have a 4K TV?
So that's what.
Okay.
Completely jumping off the news. My TV died on Tuesday.
Oh.
So I bought a new TV, new receiver. Everything. So I went all out.
It's a sign. 4K is not meant to be. It's too powerful for mere mortals to handle.
Exactly. So I bought a 4K HDR 65-inch Sony TV. I got a new Accio 4K HDR receiver, and then I got the ultra high def Blu-ray player. So
See, now I'm really.
now I'm
kicking
set
myself.
for like a decade.
You are. I'm kicking myself because you did the bad movie night.
Yeah.
They did Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I don't know if did you get to go to it?
Are you talking about the new Fox one?
Yeah, they watched the new Fox one.
Okay, yeah. I've seen that movie now that it was on HBO, but yeah.
It was.
I drank through it.
Well, because
Here's the thing.
Sam had a drinking game out of it. The drinking game was whenever the wig changed, you took a drink.
Whatever the what change?
The wig for.
What's her name? Kate Mara.
Yeah. So whenever the wig changed, you took a drink, and then whenever those bad CGI, you took a drink.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because
Alex was classic.
that movie is like not the worst up until the end, and even then, it's not terrible. Like this is not the worst movie ever made by any stretch.
I feel like
But-
nothing happened though. Like when it got to the climax, I was like, I leaned over and asked, I was like, who's the scene? I was like, is this the climax? And they're like, yeah. I was like, but nothing has happened in this movie.
Yeah, it feels like this, especially with the early dialogue and like kind of the weird, awkward pacing. It feels like this was a first draft of the script that wasn't even that the end hadn't been written yet, and the studio just said we need it now.
Well, the fact
And
that they
Josh
had
Trank,
so
whoever
many
wrote it, is
reshoots.
just like, okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Well, apparently,
What time do you have to get over to the?
I missed it. They didn't come over here. Okay, so it's okay. I'm just kind of float around. We can do this for a little bit and play some Dark Souls. Yeah. But one thing that surprised me about it though was when they did the when they did the Fantastic Four movie, they actually didn't like what they did, and they reshot the ending and they reshot a bunch of stuff in the middle. So that wasn't even.
Yeah, that's what the witch.
Yeah, so that wasn't even the original storyline. It was apparently, once they get their powers, and you see a little bit of it with the Thing, and his kind of like horror and what he's become.
Yeah.
Apparently, it kind of went Cronenberg towards the end, where they're like, it's like dealing with, what he's become. They're all dealing with like the stretch and it's more visceral.
If they really took that in the movie, like they didn't deal with that. They essentially go like, oh, I can stretch, and then like they're like, okay, I'm cool with my stuff.
But and apparently it dealt more, at least from what I heard about the director, it dealt more with like what it would be like psychologically to go through that. Which The Thing is the only one in the comics that really dives into that because
everyone else can like at least pretend to be a normal person, but with extra stuff.
Yeah, everyone else has cool abilities. It's the X-Men.
It is.
The X-Men that look different, the X-Men who don't look different.
Well, it was interesting in this version that Human Torch can't shut it off without the suit. Otherwise, he's always on fire.
Yeah.
He needed the little device.
That'll be the sequel.
Yeah, see, I didn't like that, and it's funny to me that that movie was worse than the Silver Surfer, Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Yeah,
like it's just.
I like Rise of the Silver Surfer better than the first Fantastic Four movie just because Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer was great. I liked it. I feel the same way about that as I do. What is it? The Green Lantern movie. It had some good aspects, and then they just completely screwed up the ending.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is the best part of that movie. Ryan Reynolds is not the problem playing Hal Jordan. It was the script.
It was the script, and
same thing with Deadpool and X-Men Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds was fine. It was the writers.
It was the writers screwed it up.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bounce over to do some Dark Souls, but let us know in the comments what you thought, and come join us for Dark Souls. If this Twitch stream stops, refresh, and you'll see us over on the PlayStation in a bit. So see you guys in a bit.
See you in a bit.